Were there any people in your indictment that went to jail or went to prison with you, like co-defendants or anything?
Yep.
How many people?
There's 5 or 6.
Okay.
So there's a few people, my employees, the people that work for me. And you know what? That's crazy too, because even though a couple of them helped give them information about me, I can't hold it against them. They're all great people. They've always been good to me. They trusted me. You know, they trusted that I knew what I was doing, that they wouldn't get in trouble. They too didn't belong in prison. They're all great people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I met Natalie in church, of all places. You know, and
you met who in church?
Natalie Zanetti. So she's one of all she was doing was sending money. So I would have fake IDs made. I would give her the fake IDs. She would go and send money through Western Union and MoneyGram using a fake ID. You could use it one time. After you use the fake ID, you got to cut it up. Don't use it again. For whatever reason, so...
This is what you were doing to stash your money?
No, this is how we were initially paying to order the product. I mean, you gotta.
Oh, you left that out. I didn't know
Right.
you're making fake IDs and doing all that.
Oh yeah. So
Really?
I would have a whole stack of fake IDs, like
Holy
100
shit.
of them. Same picture, different real information, or as real as possible.
That's like what Matt was doing.
I don't know the depth of what Matt was doing, but yeah. So you know, you gotta skirt the system.
He was actually he was scanning IDs, cut and pasting them like the Riddler, scanning them and like literally by hand creating these IDs, like brand new IDs.
Forgeries.
Yeah,
I guess that's where the art degree came in.
yeah, that's the fine arts degree.
Crazy. So Natalie, how she got caught was she used the same ID twice. So there's 2 different instances. I think she got out of that. I just lost like $15,000 or $20,000. So I gave her like $20,000 cash, and I said, "All right, use a couple different IDs and go send money over a couple day period using Western Union and MoneyGram. You can use each ID one time at Western Union and MoneyGram. After that, cut it up. Don't use it again, because when you try to use it again, it's going to throw a red flag. It's like it runs through their system and they realize that it's not real."
And explain to me why you had to use a different ID every time you sent money to China.
Because every single financial transaction is logged. The Department of Homeland Security, the DEA, they have access to all of that. So if they see that Justin Smith or Natalie Zanetti is sending millions of dollars to China, they're going to have some questions, especially when I can't show on paper that I'm making that kind of money. And you're only supposed to use Western Union for what? Friends and family transfers. So, you know, it's very, very tricky thing. So what happened was she went in the store with, I think, $5,000 maybe, and used an ID that she had used before. They kept the ID, alerted the authorities, kept the money, and I guess she claimed she got away. She claimed she didn't get detained. She claimed that, you know, that everything was just normal, and they let her continue doing whatever she was doing. But the reality is she was busted, and I'm guessing she flipped. So at that, you know, we don't want you. All we care about is Justin. We know he's the one putting you up to this. We know that he's the one, you know, he's the one running the operation. He's the one we want. So help us get him. You're okay.
Right.
So, and then, you know, and that's how it works. They scare the small fish to get to the big fish. And, you know, it's effective. But at the same time, like I was the one that made the wrong call. I was the one that sold this to my friends, that sold this to my employees, that convinced these people to trust me. And honestly, that makes me sad, man. Like looking back, that's one of my biggest regrets, is the fact that I got really good people in a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And they didn't deserve that. But, you know, then you make the argument they're grown adults. They made their own decisions. They knew the risks. Did they? I don't, you know, it's a tricky thing. But
I was talking to a female that was on the show, and she was talking about she went to prison for a few years, and she was saying that just the women run the prisons because all the prison guards are males, and they're most times than not, they're kind of like dweeby guys. You know, they don't get like the big burly tough guys to run the women's prisons.
Right, that makes sense.
Because they send them to the men's prisons. They send like the dweeby, nerdy, kind of like frail prison guards to the women's prisons, and it was super easy for them to manipulate the guards. So like the girls would like tease them like sexually or whatever, like,
And they would go for it.
and they would totally go for it. And they basically ran the prison camps.
Even if they did get the big burly guys, I mean, think about it.
Oh, they
like,
still could probably do that, right?
the power of, can I say pussy?
Yeah.
The power of pussy. You
Oh,
know what I
yeah.
mean? It's crazy. I mean, human nature is human nature. It doesn't matter if you're an inmate or not. Like,
Yeah.
it's still there. Frank Venice actually met his wife, his first federal bid. She was a psychologist at the prison.
Oh, really?
Or a nurse, something like. Yeah, I met her there and
That's
got
another,
married after.
That's
he
another
got
thing.
out of
People
prison.
love to marry. It's a thing. People like to meet and marry people in prison.
That is a
Specifically,
thing.
like killers and stuff. People who kill people.
So after I completed RDAP at Pensacola, I did a near home transfer. My sister had my niece, Abigail, and I didn't have a relationship with her. And I wanted to build a relationship with my family. I hadn't seen my father. Now, my mother came to see me, but my father's not big on airplanes. He's not big on traveling, very old fashioned. So I wanted to get closer to home. The closest prison next to Ashland, Kentucky was Big Sandy Camp. Now, Big Sandy is a notorious, USP Big Sandy is one of the most notorious federal prisons in the country. Helicopters landing all the time, people getting killed, multiple black hands for very large gang organizations there.
Black hands?
Like the shot caller, the guy in charge,
Okay.
El Jefe,
Okay.
El Chapo.
Yeah.
So, so it's a notorious prison, but they also have a satellite camp. It's just a pen and a camp.
Mm-hmm.
So you got a maximum security prison, and then you got a camp, a minimum security prison. Now this prison, it's notorious in the BOP. Everyone knows about it. It's like heaven. If you have to do time in the feds, you either want to go to Big Sandy Camp or you want to go to Yankton, North Dakota. Everyone knows that. So, and the reason is there's no fence. So you're not fenced in.
Mm-hmm.
There's no locked doors. There's no handcuffs. There's no guards. There's nobody policing you. You can drive vehicles. If you have community custody, you can drive in the community. They'll give you a credit card and let you go to the store and buy stuff and bring it back to the prison because you're trusted to do that.
Wow.
I serviced 44 vehicles. I was the clerk at the auto garage. I was also the head chef during lockdowns. So during a lockdown, which was almost all the time because they can't behave at the penitentiary, they're always trying to kill each other, they would bring the campers down there to run the kitchen. And, it's funny. A lot of those guards there will tell you the only reason we're in prison is to help them run the prison. These guards, they acknowledge, I've heard multiple guards tell me, like, dude, keep your head up because you're a good dude and you're a hard worker. And that's all that really matters. Unfortunately, you're going to experience some pushback. It's not going to be as easy for you as it was before, but your heart's in the right place. And that's really what matters. Honestly, it's just wild. There was 59 inmates at Big Sandy when I got there. That's another reason people want to go there. There's no one there. It's a ghost town.
Yeah.
And there wasn't one person at that facility that you couldn't trust living next to you. They're all good people. They made mistakes. You can call it a mistake's like something you did they made the wrong choices for the wrong reasons. Sure.